We're at Salisbury, boarding the guided tour of Salisbury. As you can tell, the bus is very crowded. And we'll get a pan up here for a close-up. Okay guys, wave! You can see him through the crowd. At the train station. Nice part of town. And the tour should start momentarily.
By a local doctor, Dr. Roberts, and he put it up in memory of his wife Arabella, who died young, and he was very, very unhappy. The clock tower, in fact, stands on the site of the old city jail. On your right-hand side is our hospital. Salisbury is our poultry cross. It's the only one surviving of 4 market crosses that we used to have. We used to have a cheese cross, and a cattle cross, and a wool cross. And that's the poultry cross where they sold dairy produce and cheese, and also chickens. On the left here is our present-day library.
Market Square, Salisbury.
This is Salisbury's marketplace, and we've had a market, a charter for a market here since the year 1227.
Okay.
We couldn't grant us a charter then. We hold a market on the street. We hold a market on a Tuesday and a Saturday, and we've had one every since. If you were here yesterday, you would have seen the market. If you're here on Tuesday, possibly you'll see it today. The market originally used to be much bigger than it is now. You can imagine these row of shops there, and across there, not being there at all. Serious accident somewhere, unfortunately. You can imagine this row of shops to the right-hand side and across there not being there at all. You'll get an idea of the extent of the marketplace. On this side it was right back to the College Church that we just saw, and right across to the next street.
Top of St. Thomas's Church, Salisbury.
What did used to be there was rows of market stalls. And if you look at any of those shops along there, you'll see that they have a door at both ends. And that is because all these centuries have passed, but still by law those shops have to have a door at each end, because they are to allow... He's called Henry Fawcett, and he lived in the 19th century. And he was born in Salisbury, and he rose to be Professor of Politics at Cambridge University, and he was also a Member of Parliament and a pioneer of the Post Office. He invented the postal order and the Post Office Savings Bank. Salisbury is very famous for its breweries. We used to have a lot of them ever since we came down here.
There's our bus, Old Salisbury. Looks like the old Castle Pub. Bus has dropped us off at Old Sarum Castle. We're just going to take a jolly old jaunt up the hill. Old Sarum Castle, established by William the Conqueror in the year 1066. Now we're going to walk up this little tow path to the top, and we'll get some panoramic views.
In America, they call them footpaths.
What do they call them?
Footpaths.
Okay, what are they here?
Towpaths.
Towpaths. top of Old Sarum. Old Sarum, part of a fort built by William the Conqueror. We have to what appears to be the original main entrance. We'll go up to the wall and take a look over Salisbury. Overlooking Salisbury from the remains of the castle. There in the background is St. George's Cathedral. You can tell a little windy. Overlooking a rugby field and part of the city of Salisbury. Along the remainder of the castle wall is a little Saxon waving at me. Looking again at the main entrance.
Cathedral of an old church where you've just been, and there you've got a goodish view, yes, of our more modern cathedral, built 1220 to 1258. But the clergy barred themselves off the town with this very impressive close wall, with stone taken from Old Sarum and brought down here. Very pleasant patterns it makes. And inside there, a third of a square mile, is the largest close in England. And most of the buildings in there is that lovely reeds thatching, which they used as roofing. It's about a foot 15 inches thick. It's just reeds collected together. There's a superb example ahead of you. And there you have the full length of the church on your right. Look ahead right, low down, you'll see a long line of thatch held together with patterns at the top. It's like a tea cosy, very snug, good insulation, good in summer, and can be patterned, and often they put thatch peasants on the top to sign them off. The walls are interesting too because they're cob. They're not brick, they're not stone, they're not wood. They are chalk powdered up with horsehair and anything else that hold them together. As long as they're kept dry, they'll last for hundreds of years. These are probably hundreds of years old, these walls, particularly here. You can see the hairnet on the thatch to keep it in place, to keep the birds and the mice and rats out. And the porches too are patterned in thatch. Out. and at the corners particularly you have brick or stone to keep the whole lot in place. Here we are back to that bridge again now. There's so much to see. The bridge has been broadened but it's still one way. Look at the apron tiles on the building on the left. Beautifully patterned tiles, hung as far to minimise fire risk, and it's apron because you can see the shape like an apron. We're now crossing onto an island. There's a chapel down there, crossing over water again, back onto land again, and this on the right is an old almshouse, still actually an almshouse. A lot of original there, flint, and it has obviously been restored, still operates as an almshouse, and is typical of the many almshouses in.
St. George Cathedral.
Yeah, all that is.
We're going to go in and take a look at the cathedral. Salisbury Cathedral. Like so many of the cathedrals over here, they have a foundation problem. That's why they're working on it. Apparently it's a £6.5 or £7 million restoration project. Salisbury Cathedral. Built here, according to the guide, because the priests were having a problem with the soldiers at Old Sarum. Apparently they're concerned with the construction sites. I hear a young Saxon approaching. Yes, it is one of the knights of King Arthur. I thought we were talking William the Conqueror. Outside the buildings are really worn. according to the guide, the top of the tower is 29 feet out of plumb to the bottom of the base. Very poor foundation, and that's what the majority of the scaffolding work will try to resolve. Oh, a young Saxon warrior and his mother. Yes. Stained glass on the inside of Salisbury Cathedral.
now he's a druid.
He's a druid, huh? We're just at the parking lot of Stonehenge, preparing for the typical British weather. We're going to take a short walk up and we'll be on Stonehenge. Want to stand underneath it? Stonehenge, June 17th. About 10 minutes to 6 in the evening. Getting ready to walk across the street. Stonehenge, about 30 or 40 feet from it. This is it?
Looks like they put a supporting stone underneath there. Okay then. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
I think we're a little slow here. Just made it. They closed down at 6 o'clock.
Why don't you go up and stand by Aaron?
Okay.
This is all there is.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron.
That's all right.
See how far back that is though? Stonehenge had been completed by 1500 BC, the first time it was 1500 years before that, so the year 3000 before Christ. Can you believe that? We'll go see if the store's open.
Okay.
You're in there too.
Yeah.
Sluddringen. Ja, men det är så
across the street from Stonehenge. Main entrance is down through the station and under a walkway. We do close it down at 6 p.m. Really only about 150 feet off the main road. And the typical English street signs. Big P marks parking. Red sign with the white stripe in it is do not enter. Parking area. Being paged. We are at Bath, on the outside of the Roman baths. Typical British weather.
That we've not hit yet. Roman picking out from the
See if we can zoom in on him. A warrior. Yeah. Built the city right around it. Okay, we'll proceed inside. Standing in front of the Bath Museum, Cathedral. Adjacent to the bath in the Bath Museum is the pump house, or pump room. They have converted into a restaurant.
It's okay, don't worry.
You got what?
What do we want to know about that?
Group rates. We want to bring 20 more people here.
Well, why do we care? We don't want to film them.
Inside the entrance. So we're looking at the actual Roman bath.
You get to get down there, right?
Yeah.
That looks kind of
Can you imagine how mineral water isn't as sparse over here? It's kind of heavy water. I don't know how to explain it.
Yes, about 16, 17, 18. Hadrian is... No, Hadrian was in the era in the 2nd century AD.
That's right, they did.
Yeah. We're going to go into the museum, and apparently there is a free guided tour at poolside. Down underneath the Roman baths. Down at the actual bottom of the spa now. Free guided tours from here. can't,
You
don't
in
you?
it?
So we're looking where we initially took our first pictures, looking down. Additional items excavated from the site. A lot of the excavation was done in 1979-1980. Here's a little Roman warrior. This is overlooking one of the cold baths. Kind of a poor lighting situation. Everybody's turned it into a wishing well.
Sorry.
There are little hot springs. They used to put floors over top of these. Then the rooms were heated with hot air going underneath them. Turn these into saunas, Turkish baths. I suppose you would call rolling baths. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Does it look like it? Yes. We're from
The Packers.
we have Kansas City here too. So, yeah.
We're big football fans.
16, 17, 18. Kid went north to work and back.
No, on occasion you got killer gorge, the cave, and that's it. Night to day, you know, that much difference. Well, have a nice time.
Okay, thank you. You too. Blenheim Palace, birthplace of Winston Churchill.
The front of Blenheim Palace, where Prime Minister Winston Churchill was born. Winston Churchill made all the World War II plans for the British. The doors of Blenheim Palace.
Is there a tour?
Oh, I never asked. I just got the card.
Going around it now then.
Into the
Well, they also have free drinks up here.
Just whack them.
There's Mom and Dad.
This time.
There's Dad.
Did have many apprentices, possibly apprentices. So we imagine that he would have probably made a model of his many apprentices would have interpreted that into stone, and if he passed it, then it would be used. Do come forward, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take your tickets in a moment, and then I'll describe the doors to you. Do come forward.
Can I take any tickets, please? Just
Do come forward. I'll take it.
Inside the main palace at the front entrance.
Forward big key. Now, when you've finished enjoying the Great Hall, then follow the red path.
This is the Great Hall.
That takes you to the church. That's the
Do come right, if you'd like to come right along, please, towards me so we can get you all in, that's fine. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the green drawing room. The figure above the fireplace, shown in his garter robes, was George the Fourth Duke of Marlborough, painted by Romney in 1779. He lived here for 59 years and, as you will hear, had a great deal of work done to the palace. It was Lancelot Capability Brown who landscaped the park for the fourth Duke. Henry Wise was the first Duke's gardener and Queen Anne's master gardener. On the mantelpiece beneath his picture, more examples of the collection of porcelain presented to the fourth Duke by his curator, Mr. Spalding. On this wall above the sofa, we have the fourth Duke's wife, Caroline, shown dancing her babe on her knee, painted by Sir Joshua Reynolds. The lady in black, painted by Sir Godfrey Kneller, was Sarah, the first Duchess of Marlborough. This is known as the Mantilla portrait. Here she is shown mourning the death of one of her sons, who died of smallpox in infancy. The ceiling in this room and the next two were the work of Vanborough's collaborator, Nicholas Hawksmoor. Nicholas Hawksmoor was a pupil of Sir Christopher Wren. These three ceilings are decorated with 24-carat gold leaf. This ceiling is known as the octagon ceiling. The chandelier is 18th century French. So is all the furniture in the room. The carpets are Persian carpet. The photographs on the writing table, the bride's the Duke's eldest daughter, Lady Henrietta. And on this side at the back, we have the most recent photograph of their graces, the present Duke and Duchess, who are the 11th Duke and Duchess. At the front of the writing table, we have a photograph of the Marquis's wedding, the Marquis being the Duke's eldest son and heir, now in his early 30s, and the wedding was held in February of this year. At the opposite end of the desk, a delightful photograph of Her Grace the Duchess with the two younger children, Lord Edward, who's now 16, and Lady Alexandra, who's 13. And the Duchess is Swedish. As you can see, she's very elegant. So when you've had a look at the photographs, if you'd like to join me in the red drawing room, you'll all have... Well, this, for obvious reasons, is known as the red drawing room, dominated by two large family paintings. On the opposite wall, we have a painting by Sir Joshua Reynolds, painted in 1778, his second largest canvas. It shows the fourth Duke with his wife and 6 of their 8 children, and the little boy in red velvet standing beside his father became the 5th Duke. The title of the firstborn son is always the Marquis of Blandford. Sir Joshua Reynolds was the first president of the Royal Academy, a rather large man who was frightening in appearance and continually took snuff. In fact, he so frightened the little girl in the white dress with the blue sash, Lady Anne, that he then wanted to recapture her feeling of fear. So he set up the mask charade, and chose another sister, Lady Charlotte, shown in pink, to rush at her with the mask in her hand. The painting on this wall was by the American artist John Singer Sargent, painted in 1905. It shows the 9th Duke, who was Sir Winston Churchill's first cousin. He married the lovely American heiress, Consuelo Vanderbilt, who became the 9th Duchess. Between them stands the late 10th Duke, who died in 1972, with Lord Ivor Spencer Churchill, the author. Consuelo wrote a book about her life called The Glitter and the Gold, in which he speaks of her two sons as the heir and the spare. You'll notice Consuelo shown wearing a similar model gown to the one you see in the painting, a copy of a Van Dyck, which shows Lady Morton and Mrs. Killigrew. The painting above the fireplace was Van Dyck's last completed canvas, which shows his second wife with Cupid. Van Dyck died in 1641. Well, the chairs in this room are from the workshops of Thomas Chippendale, and the carpets are French Savonnerie. The lovely ceiling is known as the lozenge ceiling. You can see the Spencer Griffin in the four corners. And all the doors which you'll see on the south side, they were all installed for the 4th Duke by his architect Sir William Chambers, and the wood used was Cuban mahogany. There's a very nice story about the doors here on the south side. If you close all these doors and open their keyholes, the building is so perfectly aligned that you can see from one end right the way through to the other. The moral of the story is the palace is perfectly aligned, quite a feat when you remember it was built at the beginning of the 18th century. So now I'm taking you right along the south front. So if you'd like to join me in the green writing. Come right in. So you've got people. Well, this is the green writing room, and here we see two tapestries which belong to a series of tapestries which the first Duke had designed for the palace. Of them, this is the most famous. It's known as the Blenheim Tapestry. It took 200 Flemish weavers 13 years to complete the 10 tapestries. This shows the actual battle scene fought in Bavaria in 1704. In the crease, we see Marshal Tallard surrendering to the Duke at the Battle of Blenheim. Behind is the river Danube, and in front the village of Blindheim, from which Blenheim derives. In the foreground, behind the grenadier picking up the captured French standard, you can see the burning water mills and the dressing stations for dressing the wounded soldiers. That's exactly as the battle was laid out on the day, August the 13th, 1704. These 10 tapestries are the finest record of the wars of the Spanish Succession. The tapestry on the opposite wall is the only one of the series which doesn't show the first Duke. It shows a cart he designed known as the Marlborough cart. It had 2 wheels and 2 horses, so was much more manoeuvrable and often used for ferrying the wounded. The most famous paintings of the first Duke shown above the green sofa, painted by Sir Godfrey Kneller. It shows him at the age of 25 as colonel in the Guards. He didn't become Duke until the age of 52, and he fought the Battle of Blenheim when he was 54. The lady above the fireplace was Elizabeth III, Duchess, painted by Van Loo. And the ceiling in this room is one of Hawksmoor's finest ceilings, known as the hanging ceiling. And the first Sir Winston Churchill, the first Duke's father, is a gentleman you see in the painting above the French clock, painted by Sir Peter Lely. A royalist, he's shown there wearing the long hair of a cavalier. He lost all his money fighting for his monarch, Charles I, and his motto translated into English reads, "Faithful but unfortunate," and it's still the family motto to this day. Then if you turn round and look out of the windows behind you,
Excuse me, do they ever use these rooms?
you'll hear that they dine here every Christmas Day, every year, yes. But the other rooms, no, not the other things. Do come right round into the centre. There's a tenor echo in the room, so seems to quite a vast group of people. Start out with those things. Amazing. Well, this is the dining saloon. The walls and the ceiling were the work of the French artist Louis Laguerre and were painted in 1719. It took him a year to complete the work. His fee was £500. The scene in the dome is allegorical and shows Marlborough victorious, stayed by the hand of peace. The height of the dome in the centre is 5 foot 6 inches high, and the moulding around the base of the dome is in fact quite flat. If you look very carefully, you can detect this. There's no shadow. It's an optical illusion, trompe-l'oeil. If you look at the light coming in through the 3 windows there, you can see the rim has been painted on a flat surface. The figures around the walls represent men of all nations, and in the far corner in beige we have a self-portrait of the artist, Louis Laguerre. You'll see he's signed underneath his painting. The disagreeable man shown next to him was Dean Jones, the first Duke's chaplain. Sir Winston Churchill was born in the Dean Jones bedroom on the 30th of November 1874. So that was Dean Jones. Well, the table's a Victorian table which extends to seat 36. The table appointments are silver gilt, that's silver covered in gold, and the chairs are George I. It's a family tradition. They dine here once a year on Christmas Day in the evening. The magnificent solid silver centrepiece on the table behind shows the first Duke still sitting on his horse, writing the famous Blenheim Dispatch, the message finally conveyed to Queen Anne to advise her of the glorious victory. The door cases were by Grinlin Gibbons, and all the marble in the palace is Italian. The double-headed Austrian eagle crest, the first Duke was made a Prince of the Holy Roman Empire by the Emperor of Austria in 1705, the Habsburgs. He was also, as you can see, a Knight of the Garter, the highest order of chivalry, hence the inclusion of the Garter motto. So we're going to have a look at the dispatch. Seen as in battle that day, he was anxious to write this message. You'll find it's quite readable. The only piece of paper available was the French tavern bill. So we have the authentic price of cheese and candles of the period. It was this message which was written across Europe and presented to Queen Anne 9 days later to advise her of the glorious victory. Well, this is the first of the 3 state rooms. These rooms were used for entertaining. This was the state ante-room. In them we have more of the Blenheim tapestries. That was the storming of the Schellenberg on the way down to Blenheim in the summer of 1704. The siege of Lille, the defence lines of Brabant and Malplaquet, which was fought in 1709. And the lovely lady above the fireplace was Consuelo, who became the 9th Duchess, shown at the age of 17 on her engagement and painted in Paris in 1894 by Carolus Duran. As you can see, she really was a great beauty, and of course grandmother to our present Duke. Underneath we have the quit rent standard. This literally pays the rent for the Duke. It was a stipulation laid down when the original gift was given to the first Duke, that each year on the anniversary date of the Battle of Blenheim, August the 13th, 1704, a standard like this be presented to the reigning sovereign at Windsor Castle. Well, every year since 1705, a new standard has duly been delivered. Had it not, the property reverts back to the Crown. So that pays a Duke's rent, but not his taxes. It's like a peppercorn rent, a token rent. All the furniture in the room is 18th century French, and the 4 tapestry-covered chairs were by Ertot from Versailles. The cradle was a gift to Consuelo from her mother, a copy of a medieval cradle her mother had seen in the Doge's palace in Venice, and in it Consuelo's two sons were duly rocked, both the heir and the spare. You can see that the Venetian dolphin forms a stand in the front. Come right in. Well, this is the second stateroom and used to be used as a state drawing room. Here we're coming to the end of Marlborough's campaigns with two large tapestries of Bouchan, which found the first Duke as a man of over 60, still in the field of battle. Sir Winston Churchill loved this room, and he spent several weeks painting and copying this tapestry. He painted the group at the base of the tree. His painting was later exhibited at the Royal Academy at their summer exhibition, which was a great honour. You might also like to notice that the Flemish weavers had become so accustomed to weaving horses' hooves that the dog shown in the tapestry has been given hooves and not paws. He also rather looks as if he's galloping. He's the only other animal shown on the series of 10 apart from the horses. In the centre we have the first Duke's adversary, Louis XIV, the Sun King, painted by the French court painter Pierre Mignard and shown in his coronation robes. Well, the gold decorations in the three staterooms were installed by the 9th Duke in 1892, a copy of the boiseries which you see at Versailles in Louis XIV's bedroom. Originally, these three ceilings were known as Sarah's economy ceilings, only the actual rectangle was picked out in gold. And the baby here was one of the babies rocked in the cradle you saw in the previous room, the late 10th Duke, sculpted by the Austrian sculptor Emil Fuchs. That shows him at the age of 7 months. He succeeded to the title in 1934. He gave the palace the oldest treasures here, the 12th century Persian pottery. All the furniture in this room is also 18th century French, with the two lovely inlaid commodes by Mijon. They're actually signed by the craftsman. The Blue John candelabra were by Matthew Bolton, and the marble again in the fireplace is Italian. That's very pretty, isn't it, the pink vein marble. And during the old Duke's lifetime, needless to say, the bronze wasn't out on display. So it was cut from the estate. Is the only original flooring left in the palace, and was laid in 1722, the year the first Duke died. The only lived long enough to enjoy there with the two sons. This room runs the whole length of the west wing and was the last completed wing. The palace was built from east to west to accommodate the first Duke and Duchess. Well, this is the longer library. It's one of the longest rooms in the country. Over 183 feet long. Danbury originally designed it to be a picture gallery, and as well as a library which now houses over 10,000 volumes, is also used as a ballroom and a concert room. Each spring we have the Churchill Memorial Concert here, and the money goes to one of Sir Winston Churchill's pet charities. At the far end, you can see the Willis organ. The 8th Duke and his American Duchess Lillian, and this is installed in 1891 at a cost of £10,000. If Sarah, the first Duchess, hadn't been quite so mean with her money, we should have had allegorical scenes painted in the ceiling panels by Sir James Thornhill. But she found that 25 shillings a square yard was exorbitant. The painting of the library is the choice of the present Duke. Prior to this, it was presented in the original white and is a very fine example of a Hawksmoor interior. Behind it, a flattering remembrance of Queen Anne. Flattering because Queen Anne died in her late 40s.
End of the taping of the Churchill Mansion. Stratford upon Avon, birthplace of Shakespeare. Spent the night here last night.
Over by the door.
Bed and breakfast. Adjacent bed and breakfasts. Sure. Right in the middle of Stratford, walking distance from anything. About a 6 or 7 minute walk to the Shakespearean Theatre from here. Common old structure in Stratford. Right next to where we're going to put Aaron if he doesn't get in line. Typical row of bed and breakfasts in Stratford. walking down to town center. That's town square. Typical pub. The Teddy Bear Museum, what Pat wants to see. Teddy Bear Museum's right over here.
I saw that. The little lady that I talked to a little lady, and she said that more than likely all those people in their fancy hats and dress were going to ask it today.
Oh. Tourist Information Center. Clearly marked.
Coming from the left is the first information center. But it's also interesting because that was the home of Shakespeare's young novel Judas, who founded Harvard University in America.
Coming up on the Harvard House with the flag in front of it. The mother of John Harvard, who formed Harvard University.
Jeffrey said that's it, we've come to a stop. We'll turn this into a walking tour. Well, as we come up alongside that, when we eventually get there, just what's left of us, well, this house was built. Now the house itself was actually built by Catholics in Market Town, just there on the right, that's Market Town.
Anne Hathaway's cottage, Stratford upon Avon.
Back, don't you? Oh, yes.
One of the tour buses that we have booked on. A young Shakespearean actor taking a picture. Have
Hi, are we part of the tour?
Are you part of the Globus?
No, on the Great British Express.
Well, they've already gone in now, I'm not sure.
Oh, hi.
Are you behind or in front of the group?
I think that we're
see,
last.
are there any
We
of
went.
our people?
No,
Yeah.
they. Oh
Yeah,
wait,
must be the last. We have to be back.
we intend with
Okay,
intended.
okay. Well,
Thank
in
you.
this case,
Hun, this is unbelievable. This. Look at that. Oh, please.
Gardens in the back of Anne Hathaway's house.
Just wait here for a moment. Shan't keep you long. Oh, okay. Come in, yes? Right. Yeah. Don't go far away because the groups come very quickly sometimes and you miss your part. Yeah. This is beautiful. Go away. Go away. That's what I'm trying to get out of my yard. You back? Right over here? You need to walk in front of you, dear.
Go ahead.
Talk very long. It'll be over in a minute.
I don't think
You'll be all right.
Again, overlooking the gardens.
Pretty flowers.
off to catch the tour bus again.
Father.
Are we gonna get out there?
Here's at Anne Hathaway's. We're just going to stop here for a few minutes. Since the coach park is all full, we're just going to pull up top here. If you do wish to go in, the ticket...
Yeah.
We'll get a picture of the house, honey. Shakespeare's mother.
Mary Arden's father's house.
Shakespeare's mother.
Starting place, the Shakespeare tour by Guide Fridays. Looking across to the canals. Looking downtown Stratford. Backside of the house of the birthplace of William Shakespeare. Located in downtown Stratford.
Mom and Dad in front of Shakespeare's birthplace. This is Shakespeare's birthplace. There's Mom and Dad again. The front of William Shakespeare's house. Ready? This is the main street right in front of William Shakespeare's house. Oh, I think we're... Go.
Are you finally ready, Slowpoke?
I'm taping.
Oh, you're taping now, okay. This is the main street running in front of William Shakespeare's residence in Stratford upon Avon.
They aren't with us.
And you see the Shakespearean Center over here. Looking down toward the Harvard House. Looking at the Harvard House. I need to get under, yeah, I need to get under the umbrella.
You scoot back so you know the street can.
A little bit of British weather. Can find a place, we'll do it. Now, this is built out of the Cotswold stone.
It's the only building in Stratford built out of Cotswold stone.
It's now the town hall. And you see we're enjoying some of that fine British weather.
Good thing we brought 2 umbrellas, or brellas as Aaron calls them. Plus it's windy as can be.
Standing next to the River Avon, where they have boats to rent, if you so choose. Next to the River Avon is the Royal Shakespearean Theatre. Right behind that is the Swan Theater, which we'll go to next. Much to Do About Nothing was the show or play we took in yesterday. Comedy of Errors. Swan Theater, more contemporary theater, newer theater.